spent a lot of time calling races here.
Yeah.
And what does Saratoga mean to you in all the stops of your career?
Bottom line is I love it so much here in Saratoga that I moved here permanently. Yeah, I could have lived anywhere I wanted, actually. Nothing was really holding me down. And, Saratoga is where I chose to live.
Bingo! Bingo!
Bingo! I used to call bingo numbers on the backstretch in Spanish. B62.
Oh, that's the best. I've always heard that the announcer's booth here is probably the most difficult.
The worst. The worst. There was no such thing as a public address system for the first 80 years of this place. And so they built it in the 40s for Fred Capicella, who was about 1/3 my size. It's everything bad in an announcer's booth you could possibly have, okay? There's glare off the windows. It's very cramped. When the horses go into the clubhouse turn, I have to take 3 steps over to the right. When they're halfway point around the turn, 3 steps back to the left. There are gutters, columns, trees galore in the infield, which you have to do a pas de deux with all the time. Absolutely the worst announcer's booth in the history of announcer's booth, but I wouldn't rather be anyplace else.
What are some of the horses that just, when you think about your career, that kind of stand out to you?
Cigar, I called a lot of his races because I worked here and I worked at Gulfstream Park. 4-Star Dave was great. A win 8 years in a row at Saratoga. I mean, I would say his name and the crowd here would jump. And of course, that dopey horse, R.
They're coming to the finish, and it's all R.
That summer at Saratoga, people would walk down the street, and instead of saying hello, they go, arg, 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 arg.
I always felt like listening to your race calls, there was a level of storytelling. I felt like you were really painting a picture. Were you cautious of that, or is that just, you think, something that just kind of how it unfolded?
If you view races as dramas, okay, and you have a antagonist, that's a long shot, a protagonist, that's a favorite, and everything in between, and the people know the characters, and their character is reflected in the past performances. So you put it all together, and you've got little mini dramas. You think of it as a story to unfold. I think that's a legitimate way of looking at them.
Tom, of all the Travers you called, is there one that stands out, maybe from a race call standpoint, or even just from a fan standpoint, that you really remember when you think about the Travers?
Yeah, the one that most people think of is Holy Bulls.
But it is Holy Bull, as game as a racehorse could be, coming down to the wire. Holy Bull wins! What a hero!
Your runs with Rachel Alexandra, the first time I ever walked into Churchill Downs.
Oh, yeah.
Was when she won the Oaks.
She's going to destroy this field. Oh, Super Filly, you bet!
You went on to have 2 other really great calls with her, the Preakness and also the Woodward. Did you think she was going to win that day? Did you like her that day?
It did look like, to me, she was going to do it, but then she had been softened up enough earlier that you get the sense, okay, this is going to be close.
It's going to be desperately close. Here's the wire. Rachel won. Rachel Alexandra raises the rafters here at the Spa.
And it was certainly close.
In 2001, immediately after, not immediately, but right after 9/11, when Tiznow won the Breeders' Cup Classic, did you expect that line? Did you think about that line, or did it just kind of come out?
There's probably somewhere in between. Again, when you go back to the characters in the play, here is America's best. And he's trying to win for America. I don't know if I ever wrote that down before, even thought about it before, but I knew that was part of the plot. And the other part of the plot is a foreign horse trying to beat him.
Tiznow fights on. Here's the wire. Desperately close. Tiznow wins it for America.
It wasn't particularly jingoistic, I think, to say that. I think it was legitimate. We're playing golf over here at the state park, and I'm at the 18th hole and waiting for us in the tee box, which is right next to us. and I sink this fantastic putt. And Chris McCarron happened to be there. He's a very good golfer. And he goes, and Durkin wins it for America.